76. Oh yes, many more people. Of course, the traffic is 10 times bigger than larger than it was when I was a child. You could ride your bike in the street carefully, but without worrying quite as much as you do now. And what they've done to some of the old houses is ridiculous. For the better for some things. The schools are better for the kids that are going on to higher education. The elementary schools are, of course, bigger and more up to date than even when schools were when I was there. I went to Friends School from kindergarten through 4th grade, and then went to Tatum, and then over 1 year at Central and 2 at junior. We called it junior school, and on to good old HMHS. No, I don't think so. I think people are interested in the town. They come to events in the town. The concerts on Friday nights in the summertime show that a lot of people attend. When I was younger, more people went to the high school football games than do now. That was the big thing. People without children around town went to the football game. They had reserved seats and made a social day of it. I think it's a town-oriented town. People are interested in what's going on and participate in certain things, and especially with the children. Sports is a big thing for the children. I think every kid in school plays soccer at some time in their life, and whether they continue or not is another thing. And they are active in the musical events and are interested in what's going on in town. We have a couple papers, which is nice to keep us posted of what's going on. And it shows that people come out to, I assume the next couple weekends there'll be a big crowd downtown when they have that big craft fair. I thought there would be about 20 houses total moved when we started this project down there, but I've written 23 articles and I'm not finished. And now I'm working on one that's part of a house. Just the back end of the house was moved down the street. We had one house that they cut in half and moved one halfway down the street and one a block away. And some of the big houses, it's unbelievable that they have been able to move those without the equipment that they use now, because they use all kinds of sophisticated equipment to move a house. But back then somehow they got a house on log rollers, and with horses and manpower and lots of elbow grease, I guess they got them moved. Because we've had some big houses in this town that have been moved, and lots of them. Well, the little building on Kings Highway, which is where our historical library is not a hip roof, but people call it the hip roof house. And it has been moved twice. It was originally up by the Indian King, then it moved back on Ellis Street, where there's still an empty lot, and then it moved to Kings Highway. And there's two that's side by side on Roberts, right off of Kings Highway. They're reverse mirror twins. They look alike, but their floor plans are backward. And they came from different ends of Kings Highway, and now they're sitting side by side. And a big one is at 70 Linden Avenue at the corner of Linden and Westmont. That was on Kings Highway at what time. The not Hinsky's funeral, excuse me, the The funeral home on West End Avenue was moved. That building was facing Kings Highway before the brick house was built. It's there now. And there's a little house on Kings Highway. I haven't investigated that, at the foot of Linden Avenue. It's just a little house, and it's hooked over by an second floor walkway to the house next door. That was up on the highway. Now where Caravelli's barbershop is, down on the highway, right across Patco, there's a house behind that. That barbershop is in a separate building, but there's a house behind that. If you stand on the highway, sort of in front of the Episcopal Church, and look over, you can see the big house back there. That house was up on Kings Highway, and they moved it back about 20 feet many years ago. Well, to cut through new streets, the house on Linden Avenue was right where the street is now. So they moved the house out of the way so they could put the whole street in. That was a big playground, ball fields, with that whole area of Linden Avenue, from Kings Highway down to Euclid. And the same with Colonial Avenue. That's where the house was sitting on Kings Highway, that they cut in half and moved back down Colonial Avenue to become 27 and 33. The two houses are each half of what was there before. One house got the fireplace and one house got something else, but they built basements and put the houses there. So that's why, mainly to cut the streets through and make more room. Yes, definitely. I'm working on one now. They took the back room off, which was a breakfast room, and moved it down to houses down the street. And then they tore the house down because Haddonfield bought it, and that's where the Borough Hall is. And it's too bad because that was a beautiful home and on a big piece of ground. It had a barn with a windmill right here in Haddonfield. And the building that is off the parking lot behind the Borough Hall that's used by the interfaith caregivers was their housing for hired help. Lived in that. And it was a big, beautiful home that's gone. And many other beautiful homes have been just torn down, which is too bad, because some of them were really beautiful homes. And we've found quite a few as doing other research, but it's interesting. It's like eating peanuts. The more I get, the more I get interested in it. I just think it was a wonderful thing that they did to move these houses instead of tearing them all down. And it gave me a job to do a voluntary job to do for the Historical Society, and kept me busy I've been working on this for 5 years to get these all researched, and with the information we have and people around town that knew a little bit or were related to some of these people. And I'm glad they saved everyone that they did. So that's what I do with the Historical Society. But he was a co-op student. Haddonfield High School had a co-op program, and he was working for a flooring company that was where CVS is now. And they had a dinner for the co-op students, and my husband went, and of course we went right to the dinner and waited for the team to get done and him to get over there in his car to the dinner. And before he came, some of the kids that came in ahead said, we missed the best game. He had a...
Take your time.
Yeah, grand slam. So we had missed it. Yes, I would. Because the bigger the community, the bigger the problems, and then you don't know the people as well. Here when your children are involved, you get to know the parents of some of the kids they're involved with in these organizations and work with them, and maybe some of them become your lifelong friends. And the bigger the town, you can't do that.